The start of this season for us New York Knicks was not exactly beautiful, so I'm playing this game against the Nets because 1, I have to establish dominance in New York, but number 2, hopefully I can just get us a victory, because I really don't want us to get on a losing streak here, or develop some losing momentum. We gotta break it early on. Raul Neto for 3 will definitely help that one out. The Nets, it seems like a star player has not really emerged for them just yet. And we're like, what, 3 or 4 years into this thing? Alan Crabb with a shot that was whatever. Usually they end up with like Moses Brown or whatever. Or actually, you know what? They drafted Zion Williamson. He's in this game right now. So I guess Williamson would be their star player. So I've already corrected myself 45 seconds into this thing. That was the most daring shot I've ever taken with Frank Ntilikina, as that doesn't go in. You'll notice the lineup we have now with Jeremy Grant at power forward. Going for a lineup that's got a lot of athleticism and all that good stuff. He's still in the game right now. Porzingis is at center, but Caris LeVert was gone pretty damn quickly off of that missed free throw for Neto, and we have ourselves a tie game. Tim Hardaway Jr. acting as the primary ball handler, and a big reason why I put Porzingis at center was because Enes Kanter's in the game. I don't know how Enes Kanter ended up on the Nets, but whatever. And as a result, I mean, good luck with Kanter stepping out to defend the zinger. But then if Kanter can't make us pay on the other end by posting up on Porzingis, well then he's really got a problem. So we have a total matchup advantage on that one, which is just going to throw the Nets defense into all sorts of disarray because they have to provide some help defense or whatever, and that means Norman Powell is wide open. Powell is one of the guys on our team where the three-pointer is not as sure of a thing, just because, I mean, he's not bad, but he's definitely not like a plus three-point shooter. He's like, you know, he's got to be open, and if it's contested, it's decent chance it's not dropping and whatever the hell else. Was that Caris LeVert once again on a floater? We have a lot of timeouts, so we can regroup. I think now I bring DeAndre Ayton back into the game at center. That is what I do. Which, I mean, I don't know. You could argue for or against it, but the Nets were getting quite a few offensive rebounds. You're not seeing all of them. You will see one, which is going to be the topic of why there is a potential trade to be made moving forward for this team. But Zinger open for 3, so even if I move Porzingis to power forward, they're still not going to defend him, so that's cool. You know, if I played every single game, see, there's an offensive rebound for you with Kanter right there, and that's with our 2 big guys in the game of Ayton and Porzingis. We'll talk about it, okay? But if I played every single game, then Porzingis would average like 35 points. So, I don't know. I wish I could do that because then his stats would be more realistic, but I'm not going to play every game. The three-pointers were dropping in this one, but Brooklyn was leaving us open, and we lead the league in three-point attempts, and I'm pretty sure we're number 1 in three-point makes as well, so that's just what happens if you don't defend the three-point line against us, you know? So that's a 9-point victory. That's good. So can that build us some sort of momentum moving forward? Well, not exactly. We're 5-6. And if we look at some of the losses, the game against the Utah Jazz where I didn't reset the simulation minute quarters thing, so that's why the score is so low. Well, actually, a little bit of positivity first. Look at all the first quarters here. They're all, like, not bad. We're in the game with pretty much all of these. Like, even at a 9-point deficit, that's not ideal, but it's not, like, the worst thing in the world. So I think Hardaway in the starting lineup is working. We're not getting off to super slow starts. But then if you look at the story of our team right now, in this loss to the Utah Jazz, we were 5 for 20 from 3. So 25 points, or 25% overall. Again, I did not reset the simulation quarters because I was playing that game against the Nets and I simulated till halftime, and I didn't want to play 12-minute quarters. Anyway, who's even on the Jazz at this point? Oh yeah, also this footage doesn't make sense because this game was actually played in New York, but this footage is in Utah, but don't worry about it, it's fine. We're a very three-point heavy team, and that's a beautiful thing, but it also means that if the threes are not going in, then we're going to have a problem, you know, and that's the story. That's basically the story with our team right now. We're kind of like the Dwight Howard Orlando Magic. Another one here against the Sacramento Kings. 7 for 41 on threes. I mean, if we just shot like 33 or 34% on threes in this game, we probably would have won the thing. I probably should do the math and figure out how many points that would actually result in, but I'm not going to do that. So we're just going to assume that a whole bunch of more threes would have led to a victory in Sacramento. And, you know, this type of offense, I mean, yeah, it's cool when it's going in, but we're not the Warriors in the sense of all the threes are always going to go in, you know? And so, as a result, I do think we need to add a bit more of a dynamic to our offense, one that still caters to us shooting a lot of three-pointers, and that's one thing we're going to talk about. But first, I mean, right there, you know, leading the league in three-point attempts, which I am still a fan of because we do have quite a few three-point shooters. But here's one thing to look at, is we are 6th worst in the NBA in assists. And given that our offensive rating is only 104.5, if I read that correctly, that's not exactly good. And Ntilikina is probably our best playmaker. He puts up like 5 assists a game, which is cool because he's a good three-point shooter, he's a lockdown defender, and, you know, slowly but surely on the offensive stuff, being aggressive. Raul Neto puts up, what, about 3 to 4 assists a game. He was having a rough time early on in the season. I think he's been a little better lately. And then there's Tim Hardaway, who puts up about 4. So we don't have any big-time playmakers on this roster, and that's something that I could look to in the future, but I do think because of the amount of threes we take, the offense could still be okay. Rebounding is a different story. We're also the 6th worst rebounding team in the league, and unless we make a move, I don't think we can just flip the switch, because the only strong rebounders we have are basically Kyle O'Quinn and DeAndre Ayton. Porzingis is okay, but we don't really have a lot of wings who grab rebounds. So we may need to make a move, and that's why the title of this video has something to the relation of trades in the title somewhere. Jeremy Grant, who has been our new small ball 4 off the bench, he has not been good. He's not making shots. He's not doing anything for us offensively. You know who could do something offensively? Kenneth freaking Faried, who grabs rebounds like a tank and then some. Okay? And I think acquiring Faried, as we look at his defensive stuff, which, I mean, the pick and roll defense, the help defense, that stuff's good enough to where I think it wouldn't be a huge drop off from Jeremy Grant. Kenneth Faried could really help us out because he'll grab a whole lot of offensive rebounds, number one. Imagine how difficult of a team we would be to face if we're making a bunch of threes and then like 2 or 3 of the threes we don't make get put back up and in by Faried. Now, as far as how this would fit with the rest of our team, I mean, when Faried and Porzingis are in there, there's no problem at all because Porzingis is, I mean, he is who he is when it comes to being a shooter. Now, when he's playing on the floor with DeAndre Ayton, well, remember when I told you we were working on his mid-range jumper? Well, we maintained that, and now he's a damn good mid-range shooter. So I'll need to find some plays to where Faried and him could be on the floor, and he could space the floor from mid-range for Faried as Kenneth is rolling to the basket or whatever. Now, as far as Kyle O'Quinn, I mean, it'd be a little bit worse when it comes to spacing. He's not a horrible mid-range shooter, but he's not exactly, like, that above average either. As far as how the move would work, I mean, we have 4 first-round picks. Whether it's our own picks, we have the Rockets pick from the Melo trade, we have the Grizzlies pick from the Courtney Lee trade. The Rockets are currently 6-5, the Grizzlies are worse than them, so maybe the Houston pick would be the one we'd trade, who knows. But I think Kenneth Faried could really help us on the offensive boards, and I mean, it'd be an offensive improvement over Jeremy Grant, in my opinion, just from the offensive rebounds, and then defensively, he wouldn't hurt us that much.